Our Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, Father and lover of our soul, you sit on your throne of mercy and rule with your love and faithfulness. You are full of grace. We acknowledge your presence in our lives. Nothing is hidden in your eyes, even our challenges and struggles in life. We come to you with faith. We ask not only for our daily spiritual bread, but to seek your forgiveness and undeserving favor to heal our land, our family members, our friends and neighbors, even our enemies with COVID-19 and other diseases. Holy Spirit, help us to deepen our faith and see the opportunity to believe, obey, and worship. As we face this pandemic, you are Lord and God. Encourage us and change our hearts, not to fear, but to be full of hope and find ourselves praying and meditating your word. We believe no works of the enemy prosper to your children. Abba, Father, we believe that your Son Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. He is the truth and our salvation. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and most of all, not our will, but thy will be done. We pray this in Jesus' name, the name above all names, who was and is to come. Amen.
Naghahatid saya sa mga Pinoy, mga kanta at programang Tatak Pinoy. Napapanood at napapakinggan kahit saan ka man. Streaming worldwide. In South Manila, this is V81 Radio.
Malayo ka man sa iyong pamilya, dito ay hindi ka nag-iisa. Tiyak ito'y iyong hahanap-hanapin, dahil ito ang nagpapasaya sa atin. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. We now bring you the program that brings together leading personalities, representative insights, all together in a meaningful and delightful conversations as your social barometer. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Hosted by breakthrough millennial boomer Gracie Valenzuela. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Chat with Tita Gracie. And tonight, it's a very exciting evening because we have a very special guest who went on a personal pilgrimage with her husband, and she wrote a book called 799 Kilometers, Her CAMINO Experience. I'd like to welcome Kitos Sarthou Olano to the studio.
Hi Gracie, how are you?
Hello, Kitos. Welcome to Let's Chat with Tita Gracie.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes. You know, friends, Kitos and I go back a long way because we were fresh out of college. We shared a common experience because we both worked at the San Miguel Corporation, and we were in the marketing research department. You remember those days, Kitos?
Fondly, very fondly. That was the best job ever. Diba?
And we were in the same cubicle. And with Menchie or Lynn.
Yes, 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 yes.
Those are truly our salad days, Kitos.
Yes,
Little did we know that some 30 or 40 years down the road, our paths would meet again, although we've never really strayed far from each other.
no.
We've nurtured our friendship over these years, and now that you have this new adventure as an author, and this is great, and I have to congratulate you on the writing of and the publishing of your book. You are now a published author.
Yay!
Congratulations,
Thank
Kitos.
you, thank you, thank you. It's
What made you write this book?
what made me write this book. Oh wow! When we went or on our Camino journey, our kids were somewhat. They wanted to make sure that we made it to the next town. So every day I would post pictures on Facebook every day. And then with stories, what we saw, what we ate, who we met, not too much who we met, but what we did that day. And it was a sign or a signal to the kids that, yeah, we made it. At least
Yes.
that,
After your retirement, you
yeah,
decided to go on an adventure.
yeah,
And most people will opt to do a holiday, maybe, a journey to some beautiful place and get more R&R. But
yeah,
what is unique is that you decided to walk 799 kilometers,
right,
500 miles, and not many retirees would want to do that. So
exactly.
it's truly a unique experience. However, you went on this fantastic pilgrimage to the Cathedral of St. James the Great in Santiago de Compostela in
Yeah.
Galicia, Spain, which
Yes.
is one of the most famous pilgrimages, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's been going on. I'll give you a background later more, but it's been going on since the 12th century. So it's been happening for hundreds of years. Yeah.
Yes. And at least it is really a unique experience
Uh-huh.
because unlike other pilgrimages, like some people would go to the Holy Land
Yeah.
or maybe go to some relic site like Medjugorje or even Rome, the
Yeah.
Camino is unique because you have to go on foot.
Yes.
And I'm sure that in the Middle Ages they started the minute they opened the door in Europe, but
Yes.
you had to fly because you're now living in California,
Right.
and
Right.
you had to fly to France, right? To
Yes.
begin your journey.
Yes. Yes. We started our Camino. Oh, and by the way, there are three methods of doing the Camino. You can walk, which is the most popular, but you can also ride your bike. We saw a lot of bikers on the trail.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the third one is you can ride your horse, but no one really does that anymore.
Yeah, I have a friend. He decided to take a car because he could not walk. And maybe if that happens to me, I will probably take a car myself because I don't really see myself walking. But then again, you have a lot of surprises. Like who would have thought? I mean, walking that entire distance really takes some preparation on your part. And I think you did well in terms of preparing for that walk.
Yeah.
So, what sort of things that you have to undertake?
Well, before we left, maybe for 3 months, Boyet and I were doing baby hikes. No, we would walk 2 to 3 miles, and then the longest we walked was 5 miles because we got lost. And I was so mad at this. Oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared to walk 5 miles. And then the fun part of it was the shopping actually because we didn't really have anything. So we kept going to the store looking online to see the lightest jacket or the lightest bedroll, the lightest backpack. So and then the best boots, hiking boots, low cut, high
Yeah.
cut. There were so many details that we had to think about. So that was
Yeah.
the fun part. And then when we got there, um, we realized we didn't need much. you know?
Because if you have a lot, you have to carry the whole load on your back, right? Because
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
have to walk, and that's why you have to have those walking sticks,
Right.
right? Those walking sticks. In fact, when I was researching,
Uh-huh.
in the ancient times, they had those special wooden walking sticks that they used, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of people still did that. They just looked for,
Really?
very trying to be as old school as possible. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun. It was
So
hard.
you walk, I mean the Bay Area. There are a lot of nice hiking trails.
Yes.
And you're in what city? Hayward, right? Hayward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Hayward, California, and it's a pretty hilly area, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
because I was also living in the East Bay for a while,
Mm-hmm.
in the San Francisco East Bay. So for the benefit of our guests, of our audience, Kitos right now is living in Hayward, California, which is in the East Bay of
Right.
the southern San Francisco Bay Area. Beautiful part of the country. I
Yes.
miss the Bay Area, Kitos.
Oh, it misses you too.
Yeah, I remember you took me to Napa one
Yeah.
time, right?
Oh, that was
My first,
ago. I was
yeah,
pregnant with Isabella, and you can say, just taste it. Oh my God, I'm pregnant. I can't. I wish I could.
yeah. But can you imagine? That was 1988, Kitos. That was when we saw each other in California, and we're fast forward to 2020, and who would think that now with this pandemic, we're all hunkered down in our homes. But when I was researching for tonight's episode, I felt that we've come full circle, you and I, our journeys in life, and it's a nice parallel with your pilgrimage and all, and it's we all have a journeys, different parts of the world, different personal learnings and discoveries throughout our lives, but somehow our lives seem to intertwine, and some point we meet up, and I guess that's the beauty of our friendship. No,
Yes.
and
Yes.
yeah. So actually, I'm glad that. Oh, by the way, happy Thanksgiving. Uh,
Thank you.
so how was Thanksgiving pandemic style for you?
Wow. It's interesting because it was just me and Boya. And then our two daughters don't live here anymore. One lives in LA, one lives in Seattle. So just FaceTime, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But they spent it with other people, and then me and Boy, we were by our.
Yeah.
And I told him, ganito talaga. We started out, it was the two of us, and now it's back to the two of us. I mean,
Yeah.
thank goodness we like each other enough.
Yeah. But you two are my favorite pair, from those days in San Miguel, because you've been you I've seen your relationship blossom. You have a beautiful family. I love your grandchildren. They're the cutest. I tell you, whenever you post the pictures of your grandkids, I mean, and they're adorable, and you're so blessed, Kitos.
I thank you, thank you. They're
Yeah.
amazing. They're so cute, if I may say so myself.
Yes. And then, of course, now that you're empty nesters, you
Mhm.
went on this adventure in 2017,
Yeah, yeah.
which was a few months after your retirement, right?
Yes, yes. It was a few months after retirement. Because, when I worked over 30 years at this one company. And then towards the end of my career, I was in this job that was really difficult for me. So, and then I started working with really young people who were so smart. So, and then my manager was young. So it's like, my self confidence took a beating a little bit because they were so good. So right after I retired, I figured, I need something to get my to get my mojo back. So I told Mike,
Yeah.
let's do the Camino because I had always been interested in it. My brother told me about it 20 years ago when he said, there's this Camino in Spain that's on my bucket list. Sabi ko, how does it work? He said, oh, you walk for 800 kilometers. Sabi ko, what? Sabi ko, why would anyone want to do that? And back then, that was the 90s, no one was really doing it. And then we saw this movie called The Way with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. And I said, oh, maybe this is the one my brother was talking about. And it looked really interesting. It looked difficult, but sabi ko, this is what I want to do after retirement. And I want to do it soon after retirement because I don't want to wait 5 years. I don't want to wait 10 years. So
Yeah.
this is the youngest I'll be to be able to do this.
Right.
So that's what really,
I think your timing was perfect.
yeah,
Boyet was retired. Friends
yeah.
out there, Boyet is Kitos forever date. Forever date niyan ni Kitos. And I know in these business circles or in the US, he's called Les. But to me, he will forever be Boyet, my
Yeah.
dear friend. And I know that you are forever dates with Boyet.
Yes.
So I believe that this Camino experience at the onset of your retirement was the best thing that could happen to the two of you because
Yeah.
it's a new adventure,
Yes.
right?
It was a trial run for retirement because it will be together pretty much 24/7. So what better test than to go hiking for a month together? If we can
I know, he actually made the point earlier. Yeah, he actually made the point that he was always ahead of you.
always, always, always.
Yeah, I know that he's somewhere there beside you. So I'm going to say a special hello to Boyet because I'm glad that you and Kitos are going strong, remaining healthy. And there you are, my friend. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for, right, Boyet?
Yeah.
A lot. Talaga.
Yes. You know, this show is going to reach a lot of Pinoys in the US and here in the Philippines as well. So if you have friends or classmates or relatives out there, they're going to watch you and the video will be always on YouTube. You can go back to it and recommend it. But I admire both of you for succeeding in your Camino experience, and it was beautifully documented by Kitos in her book called 799 Kilometers.
Thank you.
You should have done it today this year too, right?
Well, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, we have prepared a short PowerPoint presentation, which will usher in our next segment. Okay, so if we're ready, Ralph, let's roll the PowerPoint now.
But
Wow, Kitos. I think that I could not show all the pictures, but I just wanted to give the audience a taste of what it's like. And we're now going to go on a short break. When we
okay.
return, friends, we're going to go into a deep dive interview with our guest tonight, Kitos Sarthou Olano, and here she will give us a glimpse of her personal Camino experience, the pilgrimage to the Cathedral of St. James the Great in Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Don't go away, we'll be right back after a few reminders.
We'll be back shortly with Tita Gracie. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Connected ka na ba para laging updated sa mga bagong shows, promos, trending news, viral videos, events, o patok na OPM hits? Just follow us on Facebook at V81 Radio Manila. Simple lang, itype lang ang letter V81 Radio Manila. O, di ba madali lang? Kaya i-like at i-follow na. Are you ready to explore a new kind of music? Yung bang kakaiba na hindi mo pa napapakinggan? Mga bagong artist nagugulat sa inyo sa kanilang awit at tugtugan. Discover them, hear them in Napalm Hour. Ang Napalm ay ang new all-Pinoy alternative music source na para sa kakaibang musika. Alternative artists and bands all the time. Catch them at Napalm Hour. Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Streaming live on V81 Radio mobile app. Kaya i-download mo na for free. Now na! A spirit-filled song that talks about healing from the Lord Jesus Christ, our great healer.
Nasasaktan, kumikirot ang aking puso.
Hilumin mo, awit ng kagalingan at pagsamba by Felsen.
Hilumin mo ang sugat ng aking puso.
Digitally available everywhere and here on V81 Radio.
Bigot pagturo ko dahil lang ngayon at ang bukas.
Okay, friends, we're back. And I'd like to invite back into the studio our guest for tonight, Kitos Olano.
Hello.
Okay, Kitos, hi, welcome back. And I think now I'd like to give an idea to our listeners and viewers about what it takes and what kind of preparations one needs to take and conduct for a major pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier about having the right tools, the right backpack, the right shoes. But another kind of preparation is the spiritual kind, because you have to be in the right frame of mind, because you're going there not because you want to work out, not because you want to do a marathon. You're there because, and most of the people we met were there because they had a question in their lives that they wanted answered. And they're searching, everyone was searching for an answer to something. I myself was searching for, guidance, divine guidance on what to do in my next phase of life. Because I had just been retired, and I honestly had, beyond playing tennis twice a week, it was very nebulous. So I wanted to know more about what I should do for the next phase of my life. And then, and by the way, that's the number one question pilgrims ask each other. They would ask, "Oh, so why are you walking?" And then you would hear their stories about, I just retired. I'm just divorced. All kinds of situations. But I think Boyet had a different reason for walking. Whenever someone would ask him why he was walking the Camino, he would say, "Oh, because my wife wanted." And then he'll say, "I didn't want to be left at home for by myself for 2 months." So that's why he was there. But honestly, I think he learned a lot spiritually from it also, because there's no way that you won't, because you're surrounded
Yes.
by people who are um, of all religions, but they're all spiritually minded. So it was not nerdy at all to be a religious person or to
Right.
be
But I think that from what you're telling me, a lot of people would go on that pilgrimage
Mhm.
at a point in their lives when they're about to do a pivot, or when
Yeah.
they're about to do a major shift,
Yes,
like from
yes,
going into retirement, after a major divorce or something major that
yeah,
happened to them, and they are searching for something. I guess that's the figure of speech, so to
yeah,
speak, right? They're
yes.
in search of something,
Mhm.
and for you, it was not just a physical, pilgrimage, but a
Correct,
spiritual one as well.
correct.
Because, of course, your major destination is one of the most beautiful cathedrals in the world.
Yes, yes,
And, it's no joke because that entire travel, you took the Camino Frances, right?
yes, yes. We took the
You land in France, and then your starting point was in a town called Saint Jean Pied, ano sa? Pied de Port,
yeah, yeah.
and then you crossed the Pyrenees, the Basque Country. What was that like?
It was very hard. It was very hard. The first few days, it was so difficult. I mean, even if we did many baby hikes every day, the reality of the Camino, nothing prepares you for it. Because we started at this small town, as you said, called Saint Jean Pied de Port, and then the first 2 days we were going up the Pyrenees Mountains, which was pretty high. It's like 11,000 feet. Um, it was so difficult, and we were very careful about and very deliberate in our walking, and I was so slow because I was so deliberate. And then we had to really focus, because along the side of the trails there were so many crosses, and it
Oh,
represented pilgrims who died, basically,
oh, wow.
crossing the mountains, because it's not I mean, it can be a dangerous place, like when the
Yes,
winds and everything. So there, actually, along the entire way, we would see crosses on the side of the road, because people die. I don't want to sound morbid, but you really have to be careful. And then some are health related, some not.
yes,
But
yes.
made it very deliberate. In fact, I knew that we had a long way to go, so I tried not to think about the destination too much. 'Cause at the beginning, I was asking Boy, "So where are we at now? Where are we at?" Because our guide had the different stages. He would tell me, "Don't worry about it. We're only on page one, and there are 6 pages." So at that point, I said, "Okay, forget it. I'm not gonna." It's like when kids ask, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?"
Are we there yet? Yeah. But like you were saying to me last Friday when we had the test broadcast that you are hitting 3 to 4 towns a day.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
brisk pace,
Right.
Kitos.
It was a brisk pace. Well, we were doing between 20 to 30 kilometers a day.
8 to 10 hours.
We would
10 to
walk
15.
between 8 to 10 hours a day. Uh,
Oh,
Actually, the one of the reasons for that is I walk very slowly. I was surprised at how slow I walked. And I blame it on the boots because they were too heavy. They were too heavy. And also the backpack was heavy.
yeah.
And in fact, Boyet would always walk like 100 meters in front of me. Um, so in a way, we each had our own caminos because we were not
Yes.
side by side. He would go
Yes.
ahead, and then he would meet people. He would start talking to them.
Yeah.
And then he
And
said,
there were people, right? I mean, in the photos, I saw you meeting people from different parts of the world, and I remember you told me that you had met. I mean, you would spend the night in one town, and you would be with pilgrims as well, having dinner with them and sharing experiences. So it's a great experience in terms of socializing and opening new doors to meet new people, right?
Exactly. We met people from all over the world. Most were Europeans because it's closer, but we met people from England, the Netherlands, Brazil from the other side, and then there were a lot of South Koreans, which was a big surprise to me.
South
Apparently,
Koreans.
yeah, apparently in South Korea, there's this one writer who did the Camino. Then he wrote a book which became a bestseller in Korea. So that's why there's a high level of interest among South Koreans to travel. I mean, we would see entire families of South Koreans. The parents.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then we met people from the U.S., Canada, Australia.
Were
Uh,
there other Pinoys? Did you see any other Filipinos?
we
None.
we met a couple from Dallas.
Okay.
They were, I think it was their third Camino because they did.
Oh,
Yeah, there were a lot of repeats. There were so they walked it twice. The friend says twice, and I think they did the Portuguese way because the Camino has many different starting points. Uh,
yes.
in fact, the shell, which is the symbol of the Camino. Here, let me give you a visual like this. This is the
Oh, yeah.
this is the sign that you see along the way. All of these represent the different starting points, but
Oh,
the ending, the object. This is Saint Santiago de Compostela. All
yes.
everyone meets there. That's the final destination for all the Caminos. But yeah, it was fun. So many people, and Boyd is so sociable. Like he would start talking to them a lot, and then I would meet them, and then he would meet them first because he was walking way ahead of me. But we've
Great.
been in touch with those people on social media for about.
Wow. Yeah, it's great. You opened up a new avenue of friendship and the
Exactly.
experience. I think what's important is that you keep an open mind. When
Mhm.
you go on these things, and for all of you out there who are planning or interested to go on this Camino, the pilgrimage to the Cathedral of St. James the Great in Santiago de Compostela. Kitos wrote this special book, which I highly recommend. It's an easy read. You can get it on Amazon. And unfortunately, it's not yet available in the Philippines. But if you have an Amazon account in the US, so for the Filipinos based in the US, I highly recommend this because I'm sure that because of this pandemic, a lot of people at the first sign that people can travel are really going to make travel plans. So I'm sure that a lot of people, just to say thank you for surviving the pandemic, might want to look into going into this pilgrimage in Spain. So
Right.
can you give us an idea, Kitos, what would be the cost of doing this pilgrimage?
Okay. Oh, before I get into the cost, I also wanted to say that my book is also available in electronic version.
Oh,
So you can buy it and download, and then you can download the ebook. And actually, I like the ebook better because I made the pictures bigger and you can enlarge it so you can see more details
yes.
rather than in
So
the
if
book.
you have a Kindle, an Amazon Kindle,
Yeah.
you can download the ebook. So all the Pinoys listening out there in the US, please check this out. If you have a copy of the book, Kitos, you can show it now. And then where else can they buy it aside from Amazon? Are there other areas, other stores?
That's no. This is Amazon is my only
Okay.
outlet
Perfect.
for to sell the book.
Yes, so friends out there, if you're planning your own Camino experience, see it from the eyes of Kitos Olano. The book is called 799 Kilometers. Check it out on Amazon. You can download it to your electronic devices. And, you can begin to imagine the whole journey. And the minute this pandemic is over, you may want to contact your travel agent because this is a great experience. Wouldn't you say, Kitos?
It really is. It really is. And also, another thing I wanted to point out was you don't have to walk 800 kilometers. We did because we could. We had the time to do it. But a lot of people just walk. Some people walk segments. So every year they walk, especially the Spaniards, on their vacation. They would spend a week walking. They pick up where they left off from the previous year. But there are also a lot of people who only have a week to do it. So they only walk the last 110 kilometers. And if you walk at least 110K, you'll get the same Compostela that Boyd and I did. Because at the end of the journey, you go to the Cathedral of St. James, and then you show them your pilgrim passport. It's like a fold-out thing where every step of the journey, you get it stamped. So it's proof that you walk through those towns, and then they date. So at the end of the journey, they look at your pilgrim passport, if you have it, the right number of stamps and all that, and then they give you a Compostela, which is behind me. Actually, if you want to take a closer look later, I can.
Sure.
But
we can take a closer look, of course. So that's proof positive that you completed the pilgrimage to the cathedral. But let's go back, no? If you are planning a pilgrimage, what would be an ideal budget?
Okay, so these were the prices when we went, in 2017. As far as lodging is concerned, there are different levels of lodging. The cheapest one, I would say, would be the donativo, or you pay however much you can afford. So these are usually run by religious orders, and usually it's just like maybe less than €5 for a bunk bed per night. But in the pilgrim hostels are called albergues. So that's the donativo. And then there are municipal albergues that's run by the city, and that costs about €5 a night. And then there are privately owned albergues, which are about €10 a night. And then we have the private rooms, which each albergue usually has a couple of private rooms. Sometimes you have your own bathroom, sometimes it's a communal bathroom. But a private room costs about, I would say, 30 to 40 euros a night. And that's what Boyd and I did most of the time, because there were two of us. So, and Boyd didn't want others to hear him snoring. So he wanted to do the private rooms more than not.
I mean, can you imagine you're walking 8 to 10 hours a day?
Right.
Naturally, at night, you would want some privacy, and you want to have a good night's sleep, and a good meal, and a private shower, and you can have a good night's rest, because the following day you have to do another 8 to 10 hours of walking. So it's no joke.
Right. I know. And then the other there are also hotels which run about €50 a night. And then the most expensive one is the Parador, and these are converted castles. And
wow.
Those are really expensive. They run they run between 150 to €250 a night. So that's a special night. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I think, so that means to say that there is a Camino experience in all ranges.
Yeah.
Whether you go on tourist class or, a very tight budget, to luxury, converted castles and all that, with maybe degustation, meals, etc. And, and you have whatever budget you have.
Yeah. Yeah,
There is a Camino experience that's right for you. So
exactly.
don't let the budget throw you off.
Right.
I guess keep your eye on the goal. That's what it is, right?
That's why students can afford to do this. If you do it
Yeah.
for 1 week, I think it's quite affordable. And then for the
Yes.
meals, I would you would expect to pay about €4 for breakfast, another maybe five for lunch, and
Not
then
bad.
yeah, for dinner, and then snacks in between because you have to keep eating it to keep your energy level up. So
Of course.
we're eating every 3 hours, and then at night they have these specials called the pilgrim menus. It costs about 10 to 11 euro per person, but it includes everything. It includes bread, wine, and dessert, and you have two courses. What they call the
Wow.
primero
That's a
plato.
fair deal. That's a
Mhm.
fair deal because I
Yeah.
think that the majority of people would like to have that kind of pilgrim experience because pilgrims don't usually do a luxury thing or a high class thing. A lot
Mhm.
of pilgrims, because of I guess there's a sacrificial element to it. The
Mhm.
walking alone is already a tremendous sacrifice. No, whether you're doing it for spiritual reasons or you wanna have that kind of endurance experience for physical reasons. But a lot of people are really reasonably, in terms of that they enter that experience with a reasonable budget in mind. So you eat well. You have a slew of good places to rest at night.
Mhm.
The,
Mhm.
the journey itself, the roads, are they safe?
Oh
Uh,
yes,
yeah.
it's very safe. Of course, you have to always exercise caution, like you normally do when you're in a foreign country. You know, but we saw a lot of Guardia Civil. The policemen in Spain, they patrol the way, and you just have to be mindful about it. We met
Yeah.
we met this German girl. She was telling us that she would walk because she's so young and she's so fit. She said she walked about 30 kilometers or more a day, and then she would walk until it got dark. Until one time, a carload of Spaniards said to her, "Yeah, this is not a safe road to walk on after dark." So they took her in their car and brought her to her albergue, and she said that was a lesson learned for her. So you have to practice caution also.
Yes,
Uh,
I guess a reasonable amount I mean, be reasonable. If you're planning on doing this pilgrimage, friends,
mhm.
listen to Kitos. Her words of wisdom and her experience will really teach you a lot in terms of your preparation for your own personal community experience. So
Mhm.
there is a budget, there is a pilgrimage experience for every budget, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Secondly, the road maybe are they rough road? Are they hilly? And
Yeah.
what kind of terrain are you looking at?
Oh, the topography was so varied because the first 2 days we went over the Pyrenees, and then later on there was another mountain that we had to cross, and then it, I'd never seen this before, but we walked on the what they call the meseta for a few days. That we went up a mountain, but the top of the mountain was flat.
Wow.
It was like a desert, but you're at the top of the mountain. And then when we
Wow.
we went, the harvest was already done, so the fields were pretty barren. Um, so it was very desert-like. So sometimes it was, and then towards the end, it was very cool because of the weather. And then we were walking up the mountains again. But my favorite part has to be walking through vineyards because
Oh,
we walked through the Rioja region, and
yes.
vineyards for days. And there and one other wine growing region later on, Uh,
Yes.
but there were still a few grapes left on the vine. And then we would look for them because they were so sweet. So we would be happy if we find one or two left on the vine. So the topography is very varied. Uh,
Yes.
and sometimes it was not picturesque. You would be walking along the road. Sometimes you would be walking along the river, the trees, through forests. So if you walk the entire 800 kilometers, you would get a lot of variance in your surroundings. It was amazing.
Yeah. So the roads during the daytime hours are pretty safe.
Yeah,
Of course, prudence will dictate that at night you're better off
yeah,
checking into your albergas early. Don't stay out at night,
yeah, yeah,
and you can have enough time to rest and to socialize and to prepare for the coming days, no? And then, of course, I think you meet a lot of interesting people along the way. So, you can walk with them, or maybe you're just ships passing in the night and you never see them again. But it's great that you're eventually, you formed a nice social media community
yeah.
of Camino walkers.
Right,
So
right.
I think that it's you've opened up a whole new adventure for you and a whole new social circle.
Yeah.
And of course, along the way, what any mistakes like, oh, I should have done it this way, I should have not done it that way.
Oh yeah.
What were those? You thought you had it right, but then along the way you said, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do this. Okay.
We did make mistakes, but actually, before I go into the mistakes, there were a lot of solo walkers. You know, in fact, it was very rare for couples like me and Boya to walk. They were so surprised that we were walking together because most of the time it was solo walkers. And then they would meet each other and then they would form natural groups. So it was not unusual to find a group of walkers from different countries walking together, different ages, different countries, and they would walk together every day. Sometimes, if they felt like they wanted alone time, then they would walk by themselves. So, but that was good. It was interesting to see, and I did not expect that. So,
Yeah.
as far as mistakes go, well, the most obvious one is the backpack being too heavy. My goodness. On the second day, I gave away my blanket because I really wanted to lighten my load. In fact, my backpack was so heavy that by the fourth day, when I took it off, I had back pain. And I said, oh my goodness. So Boyd and I availed of this service where we got some couriers, because there are courier services where they pick up your backpack from where you were staying. Yeah, and then they deliver it to the next place that you're going to stay at. We did that for a couple, maybe 3 weeks or so. And then their season ended. Kasi when we went, it was after the summer. Summer's the peak season. And then our season,
Yeah.
it was less, the students were gone and it was less people. So by the end of October, their season ended. So we had to carry our backpacks again. So that's when I discarded my extra jacket, things that you realize you don't need. So that was our first mistake, the backpack being too heavy. And then on day one, we didn't have enough water because day one is actually just 7 kilometers. So I said, oh, maybe a small bottle, because all the stores were still closed when we left. So we had one bottle, and we thought, oh, easy for 6, 7 miles. But we didn't realize it was straight up. So halfway through, we ran out of water, and by the time we got to the albergue, Boy's hands were cramping around his walking stick, so we had to load up on Coke, orange juice, anything to get our sugar levels back. So after
Yeah.
that, we paid closer attention to the logistics. So if there's a day where you have to walk 10 kilometers or 17 during one day, we had to walk 17 kilometers before getting to the next town that had food and services. Then we knew to buy sandwiches the night before so we could have something to eat along the way.
Great.
A big mistake also for some pilgrims, including myself, even though I walked slowly, I wish I would have walked even slower because no pilgrim ever said, "Man, I wish I walked faster." Everyone says at the end, "I wish I would have walked slower so I could savor the town,
Yeah.
the locals. I wish I would have known that this town was famous for chocolate, so I would have bought a lot of chocolate and eaten it there." Um, and then I think another mistake was personally I feel like we stayed too much in private rooms because it's in the communal bunk bed settings that you really bond more before you
Yeah.
put on your what do you call this, the earplugs to go to sleep. That's where the action was happening. So maybe next time, if there is a next time, I would like more better balance between staying in private rooms and hotels and in albergues. I think that a few were. The problem is, Grace, because I walk so slow, by the time we would get to an albergue, only the top bunks were available. It's so
Yeah.
hard to go up. Yeah.
After walking 7 or 8 hours, you need to climb up to your bunk. I don't
Right.
think so.
And then if
It's difficult.
you're drinking wine for dinner, you have to wake up at night and go to the banyo. It was not for our age demographic.
No,
So
no, that's true. I think there are some practical and more pragmatic considerations.
yep, yep.
And I guess you still we're still creatures of comfort.
Exactly. Of age related, ano? And then
Yeah,
I think a mistake that we made was um, I was very shy about asking for contact information because there were so many people that we met and talked to. Now we did ask for their email or whatever. So one of the tips I have is that if you go, it would be nice to bring like a business card or maybe a personal card with your name and email address.
yeah, yeah,
If you meet someone you want to stay in touch with, you give them a card and say, "Oh, here's my contact info." So if they
yeah.
want to continue the friendship, then you could after the end of the
Yeah.
contact. So,
Sure.
but we were,
And what about like services? Like I'm sure there were pilgrims that get sick
oh yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
stumble and maybe suffer a wound in their leg or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Are
yeah.
there services along the way? Will ambulance or clinics?
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
what if you need something that you didn't pack?
Yeah, absolutely. The people along the way are so used to having pilgrims. Even centuries ago, we had hospitals for pilgrims,
Oh, okay.
specific to pilgrims. And then we saw a lot of clinics specifically for foot problems because one of the biggest things is getting blisters.
Yeah,
That's a big deal because how can you walk if you have blisters?
you
So
can.
clinics that cater to that. Sometimes even the hospitalero who work at the albergue, they know what to do, And
Yes, yes.
Spain has a lot of what do you call this? Yung mga, you can buy medicine at anywhere pretty much. The bigger towns have more variety, but there's always a help is really close by. Ambulances are there, and then if you have any problems, you tell your hospitalero, and then they call someone who can help you. If you need a taxi for whatever reason, if you feel too tired to walk, they call you a cab. But it's the structure is there. The support
Yeah.
structure, the
The
pilgrims is
support structures there. And do you need a special visa?
no.
Because you're crossing the border, or do you just take what kind of visa? Of course, you carry a blue passport, you carry a U.S. passport,
Yeah, yeah.
but do you need a special pilgrim visa or a pass or something?
No,
None.
no. If you need a visa to get into the country, that's one thing. But no, you don't need the visa. But what you do need is that I was telling you about the book where they can stamp your journey.
And there is an official place like you started in that town, and
Mm.
there's a place where you check in and you get that, so they have a record of you
Yeah,
starting the journey from that town.
yeah.
Okay.
Or like in our case, we there's a pilgrim office here in the U.S. So they sent it to us. So even before leaving for Europe, we already had our pilgrim passport.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great planning because really you are able to enjoy the experience hassle free, the services along the way. And you said something interesting last Friday. You said that the Camino provides.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
What did you mean by that? What did you mean by the Camino provides?
There's a saying on the Camino that the Camino provides, which means that if you need something, it's given to you. Okay, I'll give you an example. And then there are people who help you, and they're called Camino angels. And then because they show up when you need them. Like my favorite example is Boyd and I were walking this one day, and then the plan was to have lunch at this town, uh, and then walk the last 10 kilometers after that. So we passed so many towns that had restaurants, but we didn't eat because Boyd said, no, 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 that restaurant good has a good review and all that. And it was the last town before the last 10 kilometers. So when we got to that town, the restaurant was closed for repairs, and there was no other restaurant in that. It was small. There was no other restaurant. There was no grocery store, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so hungry. I'm so tired. I didn't think I could walk another 10 kilometers without food." So while we were sitting in the bus stop, thinking of what to do next, this Brazilian woman walks up to us, and we'd met her previously, and she said, "Oh, what's going on? What are you guys doing?" So we told her, "We're hungry, we're tired, and everything." So she opens her backpack, and out come little containers of dates, of chocolate. She had nuts and apples. She said, "I'll share my food with you." So we go, "Oh
Wow.
gosh." So we were able to eat something, and then because of her, we were able to walk the last 5, 10
Wow.
kilometers. And she was the one who also told us, 5 kilometers outside of town, there's a stand, a food stand, where you can get food also. So
Great.
it was great. And then also
Yeah.
a couple of times, Boyd and I, because sometimes you don't see the markers, especially if we're walking in the dark
Yeah.
very early. The yellow arrows or the shell signs. So a couple of times we were off track, but there was always someone to tell us, "Hey, that's you're going the wrong way." In fact, it happened one time. It was 7:30 in the morning. It was still dark, and then we were walking this up. I don't know if we're going the right way. And then there was this local who just showed up out of nowhere. I said, "Senora, the way is this way." And, 7:30 in the morning. Spaniards are not awake that time, okay? But for him to be there at exactly the right time and at exactly the right place was another example of the Camino provides. And then Camino angels are not only humans, sometimes they're dogs. We met yeah, these dogs are so used to the Camino. They walk with pilgrims for a couple of days, then they just keep walking back and forth. In fact, we met a Canadian family. They were having snacks at a cafe, the parents and the two kids, and then there was a dog. And I said, "Oh, is this your dog? Did you bring your dog with you?" And said, "No, this is not our dog. He's just been walking with us the last 2 days. And for the last 2 days, we haven't had to consult our map. We haven't had to look at the guide because the dog knows exactly where
The dog knew.
the dog
The
knew.
dog. It was a guide dog. Literally a guide dog.
In fact,
Wow.
early on, maybe our fifth day, Boyd and I were walking, and the dog was following us. And Boyd said, Boyd had a bad experience with dogs, so he's not really a dog person. So he said, "This dog has been following us." So whenever we looked at the dog would look back. And then we would walk, he'll follow us na naman, downhill pa, no? And then we would look at the dog, and the dog would look again. So, but he was never aggressive. He was just walking behind us. And then after
Yeah.
a while, He said, he got the vibe that maybe I'm not wanted here. So he walked on a path that was parallel to where we were walking. He was in the
Wow.
you could still see him. So
Yeah.
it was so amazing. Now even dogs can be Camino angels.
Yeah. Well, we're really learning a lot. I certainly am learning a lot, and I'm sure that the audience out there are now really interested to go to Spain and go on that pilgrimage. So don't go away. We're just gonna do a short break, and when we return, we're gonna talk about the lessons learned by my dear friend Kitos and her husband Boyet during their personal Camino experience. We're gonna go for a short break. Come back in a few minutes.
We'll be back shortly with Tita Gracie. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Ngayong December sa Home Not Alone Songs from Home Season 2.
Whenever I see girls and boys selling lanterns on the street,
Tiyak na it is going to be merry ang ating Christmas dahil makakasama ni Papa Gio ang King of Pinoy Christmas songs, Jose Marichan.
my idea of a perfect Christmas.
Talagang a holiday to remember ngayong December. Kaya samahan si Papa Gio at Jose Marichan ngayong December 3, Wednesday, 7 p.m. LA time o December 4, Thursday, 11 a.m. Philippine time. Home Not Alone, Songs from Home Season 2, December Special with Jose Marichan and Papa Gio. Dito lang yan siyempre sa V81 Radio, Los Angeles.
Christmas be always in our hearts.
Are you ready to explore a new kind of music? Yung bang kakaiba na hindi mo pa napapakinggan, mga bagong artist, nagugulat sa inyo sa kanilang awit at tugtugan. Discover them, hear them in Napalm Hour. Ang Napalm ay ang new all-Pinoy alternative music source na para sa kakaibang musika.
Live your life with
Alternative artists and bands all the time. Catch them at Napalm Hour. Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Streaming live on V81 Radio mobile app. Kaya i-download mo na for free. Now na! Now back to Let's Chat with Tita Gracie. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Okay, friends, well, on our last 30 minutes, and during this last few minutes we have with my dear friend Kitos, I'd like to find out more about the lessons she learned during her Camino experience. So if you're ready, Kitos, feel free to jump in.
Thank you, Gracie. I wanted to show you the Compostela that we got. You know,
Okay.
halfway Compostela, and then the traditional Compostela that we got. And then this one, and then there's one that's that has specifics about when we started and how far we walked. And in fact, the Compostela shows that we walked 799 kilometers. That's where I got the title of the book. You know,
Oh.
the lady was completing our certificates. It was that we walked 799 kilometers, and I wanted to whisper to her, "Can you round it up? Make it 800."
Yeah, actually, that's true.
And by our calculation, we walked more than that. but I guess if you start at St. John Pied de Port, they had a little table. Where did you start? St. John Pied de Port. And they look at that. Okay, 799K. So that's how it started. But I do look at the 800th kilometer as my Camino for the rest of my life. So it continues. It continues. As far as
Yeah. What is your biggest lesson or your biggest takeaway from that entire experience?
my biggest takeaway is that it's nice to have alone time. Because when you're walking, you walk so many hours a day, and you're not listening to music, you're not doing anything. So it gave me a chance to disconnect from the world, and it gave me a lot of time to pray and to be introspective and to think about things in general. And on the Camino, I honestly felt that I had a direct line to God because there were no distractions. In the Bible it says, diba, ask and you shall receive. So I was
Yes.
literally asking for help. At that time, my younger daughter was trying to get into law school. So I was saying, Lord, and she was stressed out because she didn't know if she could get into a good one, which she did. But I kept saying, Lord, please, I let Asia get into a good school, and then about a week later, I would get a text from her with good news, you know. And then there was another big issue that I was struggling with, and it was about my retirement. There was a mix-up for my health benefits, so I kept praying up to Lord, please don't let me fall through the cracks because I don't want to lose my medical benefits.
Of course.
So, and
Yes.
it all well, but I just kept praying all the time. And it felt so good. It felt so good because in our busy lives, when do we even have a chance to slow down and pause and just have a conversation, an ongoing conversation with God? So that was my biggest takeaway. And to this day, I try to spend some time by myself in quiet moments and continue doing that. So in a way, preserve preserve the Camino. Um,
Yes.
the nice thing about going on the Camino is, as I said earlier, everyone was spiritual. Everyone was looking for answers. So you're surrounded by good people who were spiritual. So it was easy to be good because you're in that
Yeah.
bubble. Everyone
Yes.
was good. Everyone's nice. Everyone's spiritual. So the challenge is maintaining that after when you come home. Um,
Yeah.
and there's been backsliding. There will always be
Of
backsliding
course.
into your old
Of course.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but since you experience the ideal, you feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable when you backslide. So you want to do things. You want to get back into that state of grace that you
I guess you
experience.
become more mindful. You're
Yes,
more mindful about your personal journey.
exactly.
It's like when you're on a pilgrimage, you're mindful of everything.
Yep, yep,
Your safety. You've got to make sure that you're okay, and you're mindful of the people around you. And like you said, next time you're gonna do it slowly, so you can stop and smell the roses and enjoy
yeah,
the
yep,
surroundings, the food, the people.
yep, yep.
And I think that your spiritual enrichment,
Yes.
I think, really added to your spiritual enrichment, right?
Exactly, exactly. Um, and the Camino is such a miraculous place. Uh, every night you'd be hurting all over. Your feet hurt. I mean, you're so tired. But the next morning, all the pain is gone, and you're
What?
able to walk. Oh yeah, the pain.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, Boyet brought with him a lot of painkillers, a lot of Advils to make sure that he wasn't in pain. But we hardly took it because
Good.
oh yeah, yeah, it was really amazing. And
Yeah,
then
I know that none of both you and Boyet went through it unscathed, no injury, no adverse
correct.
health issues. That is already a miracle. I mean, considering, the age factor and the length, the distance
Yeah, yeah,
of the walk.
yeah.
No sprains, no,
No,
cuts or wounds or blisters.
no,
Wow.
not a single blister. I mean,
Wow.
there are practical things you can do. I mean, there are so many websites that tell you what to do to avoid blisters and all that, and we did follow those.
Yeah.
But it was really amazing that we would wake up every morning, and it was pain free.
Painless. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, but if you ask Boyet, part of the pain is we, I would say, Kitos and I divorced 5 times, but we got back together 6 times, so that's why we're still around. But that's not true.
Witty. I love that about boys.
Hindi to it's not true because we only divorced twice, not 5 times. And that is a lesson learned for us too, huh? That we can be together 24/7.
Yeah, which brings me to my next question. As a couple,
Yeah.
how did Camino experience impact you and your husband, your relationship, and moving forward after?
Yeah.
What did you discover about each other, or you discovered something new?
Yes, yes. We were together 24/7. It was wonderful. I mean, people were always telling us, "What? You're walking with your husband or you're walking with your wife?" But it was great. I realized the foundation of our marriage is really good, and
Yes,
afterwards, we got more involved in the church. We did volunteer because I think that God's answer to me was, okay, in your retirement, it's time for you to serve other people. It's not about you. So look for opportunities where you can help people. So before the pandemic started, we volunteered at the church. Our faith became stronger, and,
wow,
it's wonderful. We
yes.
fight anyway, and so now we hardly even fight.
Well, it's normal, but I think you came out of there with a greater conviction,
Yeah.
and your greater conviction to have a better relationship with the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
to always allocate time for that
Yes.
special time with Him, with the
Yes.
Lord, just
Yeah.
having that conversation,
Mhm.
and as a husband and wife, coming to the conclusion that you would want to serve the community, serve the Lord, and I think that if only for those, I
Oh,
think it's well worth the trip. And then, so after 799 kilometers, you finally reach the famed cathedral of St. James the Great. I only saw the pictures, but what was the cathedral like?
well, uh, I'm not gonna lie, Boyet and I were crying. Kasi we were so excited to be there. We were so excited. We were so overwhelmed and emotional. So all we could do was stare at the cathedral for a long time. And the special thing is we were able to walk into Santiago with friends who we had hung out with during the last part of our Camino. So it was very special. The church is amazing. The cathedral is so beautiful. And then the next day we went to mass. Every noon they had a pilgrim mass celebrating the pilgrims who arrived in Santiago. So we did that the next day, and it was amazing. And then we went. St. James is buried there. So we went up behind the altar and we hugged his image and just thanked him for making our journey safe.
Yes.
Down to visit his tomb, and amazingly enough, we were the only ones there for a few minutes. So
Wow.
we prayed and again thanked him. And I was telling God, this is the closest we'll ever get to Christ. Because the man right there who's buried there actually walked with him. He was one of the apostles. So, I mean, it sent chills up and down my spine because all over my body, actually, because. And then, I mean, you just read it in the Bible. Okay, St. James is, but he's right there. So it's a close.
And the book of James in the New Testament is one of my favorite books in the Bible. It's not a very long book, but if you've got a chance to read the book of James,
Okay.
it's in the New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
You will be amazed at the wisdom of his words because he will tell you that the resiliency of being a Christian. And he
Okay.
will tell you, consider it joy You know,
Ah,
when you go through trials, you will remember me when you come across those lines.
okay.
Because that line in the book of James is very significant because we all have trials in our lives. We all
Mhm.
go through ups and downs, and it's never a straight, smooth path. And you and
Yeah,
I know that, right?
yes, yes.
But the book of James is short,
Mm.
it hits the spot, and his wisdom
Okay,
and
okay.
his tremendous faith. And surprisingly, you did that entire pilgrimage. And it resembles the resilience and the challenge. So and he talks about that in the beginning part of the book of St. James.
Wow, nice.
Consider it all joy when
Okay,
you come across trials, etc. And you will remember me
okay.
when you come across that line because it's really one of the most significant passages in the Bible. And it happens to be in the book of St. James. And
Okay.
that's how it has impacted my life. That's why I'm not surprised that when you're there in the tomb where his relics are, you felt that. You
Yeah,
felt that holy energy, that divine energy,
it was so
right?
overwhelming. It was so overwhelming, really. And then, as a practical matter, walking that far, it's really a boost to anyone's self-confidence. Even 110 kilometers and any kind of length, it's a boost to your self-confidence, which I was sorely lacking when I first retired. Um, it's you have this feeling of wow, I did it. So I think that people have to challenge themselves. I certainly tried to challenge myself, and I was so surprised that oh my god, it's done.
You
We
did
did it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
prepares you for the rest of your life that don't be afraid of challenges,
Yes.
because the Lord will always
Yes.
provide. The Lord will always
Yes.
help. And you have to trust in yourself that you can do things that
Yes.
normally you think that normally, oh, I can't do that. That's too hard. I don't
I
know.
mean, you also wonder why the pilgrimage to the Camino, to Santiago de Compostela is one of the most popular pilgrimages over the last few years.
Yeah,
I think it was doubled, tripled,
yeah,
over the last decade.
yeah.
And
Oh,
you wonder why that particular walk,
yeah,
since the medieval times, has been popular. I guess it's that you're explaining it right now. It really creates that spirit, that confidence, and heightened sense of spirituality.
yes, yes.
Would you
Yeah,
say that's correct?
absolutely. The year that we walked, I think that was the first year that they hit 200,000 pilgrims for the year. Before that, like in the early 80s, there were only a few hundred. And then every year it would go up. I mean, during the whole, if there's what they call a holy year, when the feast of Saint James falls on a Sunday, it's considered a holy year. So that's when more people want to walk. There are peaks, but yeah, even now, um, people are still walking the Camino, although much the numbers are, I'm sure, are really small because of COVID. But
Yeah.
hopefully next year, Boyd and I will be able to go back. We were supposed to walk again this year with a couple of
Really?
yeah, but just the last 110K. In fact, anyone who tells me na, oh, I'm interested in walking, my answer is always, okay, I'll go with you. I'll go with you.
Yes. And you did say that 2021
Yeah.
is a holy year.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that with the pandemic, hopefully maybe the latter part of 2021,
Mhm.
it would be possible to do the Camino. But I think that after this pandemic, a lot of people will want to go just to thank God and thank just as a matter of thanksgiving and gratitude, and like a lot of people actually became very spiritual during this pandemic. Yeah, and talking about the Camino this way, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are very interested because it's truly a unique experience. It's there's nothing like it. I
Yeah.
think no, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. I can also sense that in talking to my friends in Manila, there's this awareness that's happening in Manila, in the Philippines, about the Camino. and people are starting to say, "Oh, what's that all about?" So if my book can help in any way, I'll be happy to hear that.
Yes, yes. So it's an interesting planning. It's interesting to plan the trip, to
Yes,
get people, to be able to help people in their planning, and at the same token, between now and maybe the end of 2021, there's a lot of time to do that, no? Because I think that it's important, if you're planning a pilgrimage, to plan way ahead.
yes,
Now that there are still travel restrictions, it's a good thing to research, to
yes.
get to know more, sort of get your interest level higher. And there are a lot of online resources about the Camino, right?
A lot. There are a lot. There are guidebooks on specific stages, and then it talks about all the towns you'll pass and what's in each of those towns. So you can pick. Okay, I want. They suggest start and stop points, but you can actually stay wherever. So you can just read about it and say, oh, maybe on this day it's too hilly. I'll just walk 10 kilometers, or it's at your own pace. You have to listen to your body, and if your body says, "Okay, I think we've had enough for the day," then you stop.
Yeah.
Feel like you can go further, then just do it.
Yes, yes. So I think it's important that what at the end of the day,
Mhm.
and I'm listening to everything you're saying, it's a journey of self-discovery,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely, yes. You'll discover things about yourself that you never realized, and sometimes the discovery doesn't happen at the end of the Camino. Sometimes it takes a year, and then you realize, oh, okay, because you have a more long-term perspective, and then that's when the lessons come to you. But
Yes.
once it sinks in, then you'll know. Then you'll know.
Yeah, it's really a unique travel experience. Some people would want to put the Camino in their bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
You know how popular it is now to have a bucket list that, before I'm 40, I gotta get this done, before I'm 50, or after retirement. So I think would you highly recommend to put the Camino on their bucket list?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an experience like no other, and I tell you, you don't have to buy designer, raincoats or anything.
Yeah.
That's not necessary. Just go. In fact, and we would meet people who only had the shirts on their back. I mean, they were trying to simulate the original pilgrim. In fact, one of the pictures in the slideshow that you showed, the guy with the
Yes.
big, that guy with Boya, that guy just walked, and he had hardly any money. So every time he went to town, he would ask for donations from passersby, and then he would stay at Donativos, paying €1 or €2 a night. Oh, and then he was such a nice guy. He had some lotions, and then when Boya told him that his knees were hurting, he said, "Oh, I have something for that." So his lotion, he massaged Boya's knees. I mean, he was such a nice guy. Unfortunately, and then every time we saw him, we would give him our loose change. We would give him food, and he was always very grateful for that. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish because he had foot problems. So he was an Italian. So he said, "I have to go back to Italy tomorrow." But he was, I think he was my favorite character out of everyone we met. And we never got to know his name because he barely spoke English, very ano, and he looked like Jesus Christ with his long hair. But to me, he was the closest thing to a medieval pilgrim that we saw on
Yeah.
our journey. We called him
Yeah.
we called him Patata because he took our picture early on, and then instead of saying smile, he said, "Okay, say Patata," and we started laughing. So every time we saw each other, he would call boys, "Hey, Patata! Hey, Patata!"
Well, it's really a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
Your book like I told you, the yes. Okay, flash it one more time. Friends out there, if you're in the US or you have access to Amazon, please, I highly recommend the book 799 Kilometers by Kitos Sarthou Olano. Download it, buy it on Amazon if you're planning a Camino or you're thinking of going to Europe after this pandemic. Consider the Camino and put it in your bucket list.
Yeah.
Buy the book, read Kitos' experience, research online, because as Kito said, there are a lot of resources out there to plan your trip to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela in Galicia. And do your due diligence, research, plan your backpack, don't make it heavy. The lighter it is, the better.
Yes.
And remember, you don't have to buy all the best gear in the planet. I mean, don't head out immediately to North Face and buy the top of the line stuff. Work within your budget. And I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
Plus, learn, research. While you're in the pandemic, while you're staying at home, research, go online. There's even a movie called The Way, right?
Yes.
It's a movie.
Or
Crazy.
YouTube has a lot of videos.
There you go.
And speaking of budgets, this is less than $10. Okay, it's $9.99. So
That's the best.
Budget also. But
yes, buy the book.
Yeah.
This holiday season, buy the book, buy several, give it away for Christmas. It's a great gift. Or send someone on Amazon, send them a gift, and spread the word. Put it in your own personal bucket list. And who knows? After this pandemic is over, you'll be booking your flight to Spain or to France, wherever you decide to start your Camino experience, because I'm sure that after reading the book and checking out all the online resources, you will be so inspired to go on your own personal Camino experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank my guest tonight. She's a darling friend, and I love you dearly, Kitos. You and Boyet have been lifelong friends of mine. And I would like to thank you for staying up all night. You're there, and I'm here in Manila, but I love you, and I thank you both so much for gracing my show.
Thank you for this opportunity, Gracie. I love you too.
You take care.
Take care.
You take care. Yes, thank you. Let's all pray that this December, because Advent has started, this December, we will be blessed. We will be safe from the pandemic, that all our families, our friends, and our loved ones will be safe, because we have a lot of journeys to take in this life. And I know that our paths will cross again, my dear friends Kitos and Boyet. And this won't be the last time that I will see you both. Because please drop me a line anytime.
Of course.
I would welcome a chat or something virtual, a Zoom call. And this Christmas, I wish you both all the best. I know you're gonna go on an extended date. Kayo talaga, Diba? Magkita-kita tayo ulit tung Pasko.
Of course. Thank you, Grace. Thanks for having us. You take care.
Okay. That has been Kitos Sarthou Olano. And we had such a tremendous time tonight talking about her Camino experience. Buy the book. It's on Amazon. And please, as the week goes by, this coming week, remain safe, be careful, follow all the safety protocols, and we're going into the Advent season. So officially, the Advent season has begun. And in spite of the pandemic, tuloy pa rin ang Pasko. And live Jesus in our hearts. He's always there. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Hang on to him because he's the one true God. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to end tonight's episode of Let's Chat with Tita Gracie. This has been Gracie Venezuela, ang paboritong tita ng bayan, saying, Good evening and have a safe week ahead. Thank you.
Leading personalities, representative insights, relevant current issues all together in a meaningful and delightful conversations as your social barometer. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Sundays, 6 p.m. Hosted by breakthrough millennial boomer Gracie Venezuela. Let's chat with Tita Gracie. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Tunog Pinoy, Tatak Pinoy, your all hits, all Pinoy digital radio station in South Manila. This is V81 Radio.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man ito'y mapapakinggan.